Welcome, everyone. Yes, sir.
Not determined until the roll is called.
Okay,
You got to call the roll before we can determine there's a quorum.
okay.
Yeah, or do you have a Gmail account or something?
So we'll call the meeting to order. The regular city council meeting for Monday, September the 28th. If you'd please stand and join us for a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll do a roll call of council. Councilmember Lloyd,
Here.
Flynn,
Here.
Burke,
Here.
Wilms,
Here.
and I don't think we have Doug yet, Fowler? Not yet.
And Wozniak's on vacation.
And Wozniak, yes, is out of town vacation.
Okay, we'll move into citizen input. We're going to need John here. If you want to go get him. Oh, here he is. Yeah. John for citizen input.
Okay, hang on, Doug, I may have to call you back.
Okay, is there anybody? Okay, Larry, I understand that you want to address the council as a citizen.
If I may.
Mayor, I've reviewed the rules. I don't, of course, you're in charge of the meeting. I can only advise as to the rules of parliamentary procedure, but Rule 7E of the City Council says that at regular City Council meetings, members of the audience will be offered an opportunity to speak. Mr. Williams is a member of the council, and therefore I would advise you that if he were to attempt to speak during the public appearance, public participation section, that would not be in order.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else, John?
Don't see any hands raised, no.
Okay, not seeing any hands raised, we'll move on. We'll come to the approval of the minutes. We've had two meetings that we need to approve. The first one is the regular meeting we had August the 24th, 2020. Are there any errors or omissions? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Councilmember Lloyd,
Yes.
Flynn,
Yes.
Burke,
Yes.
Wilms,
Yes.
carried for.
Okay, the second set of minutes is for a special meeting we had on September the 1st. If you remember, that was to lock in the bond interest rate. Are there any errors or omissions? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Okay. Roll call vote again. Councilmember Wilms,
Yes.
Burke,
Yes.
Flynn,
Yes.
Lloyd,
Yes.
carried 4-0.
Thank you. Under monthly reports, Carrie has issued our financial statements. And for those of you at home, if you want a copy at all, you can come to City Hall, and we'd be more than happy to furnish you with a copy. I'm again delighted to inform you that our unrestricted reserve balance is 8.1 million, which is 49% of our unrestricted revenues, well above the threshold of 25%. Also, this evening, a little after 5, Carrie sent to all of you and to the department heads the July sales and use tax numbers. And again, we continue to do very well. We had a budget surplus of $14,099 for the month.
Audio.
And $307,185 year to
On
date.
that way.
Okay, Doug, you're now with us.
Hold on one sec. I'm sorry. It looks like I just got in.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so we have a budget surplus of $14,099 for the month and $307,185 year to date for the city sales tax. For the county, we have a budget surplus of $89,925 and $694 year-to-date in the county. So we're sitting at a combined budget year-to-date tax surplus of $417,879. Doing very well, much better than some of the other cities in the nation. But please do have a look at that. She's also given you a very informative attachment as well. I'd entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read all proposed ordinances and resolutions on the agenda by title only.
So moved. Second.
All right, roll call vote. Councilmember Flynn,
Yes.
Lloyd,
Yes.
Wilms,
Yes.
Fowler,
Yes.
Burke,
Yes.
carried 5-0.
Thank you. Old business, we have two. The first is an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Bella Vista to add an Article 4, unsafe and hazardous trees, to Chapter 20, nuisances, to require the removal of dead or hazardous trees. Mr. Tapp is here if you have any questions. That was the second reading that I have just done. We have one more, which will be in October. I believe that Mr. Kelly sent all of you an explanation this afternoon talking about the notice concerns that are related to this. The proposed tree ordinance cross-references sections of existing city code regarding notice requirements, and he's attached those cross-reference sections to his email. Does anyone have any questions at all for Mr. Kelly about this? Okay.
Well, this is John Flynn. I just wondered, I thought Steve Burke had some reservations about this, and I was wondering if the notice, the email about the notices eased his concerns.
Steve?
I still have concerns in that now the proposed ordinance seems to contradict itself. It's got two different comments that address how it would be handled by the city. And in section 1881, it still says when a tree is found to be hazardous, it shall be removed or pruned immediately. So that seems to be in contradiction with the other due course, which is more typical of how Bella Vista does business. We don't just cut something down and send somebody a bill. We would go through a process of attempting to have the homeowners remedy the situation on their own. And if they don't, then perhaps these other courses could be implemented. So I thought it was going to be adjusted to reflect that there is kind of a due process that's involved here, and that it would remove the wording where it says it shall be removed or pruned immediately. But that seems to be real crisp and clear to me, and seems to be in direct conflict now with the other due course.
Steve, is that a question for me? I don't want to intervene.
It's not a question. It's just an observation that I think it's in direct conflict. If you have anything for me that it's not a conflict, I'd be interested to hear that.
Well, I don't think it's a conflict. I think it's a matter. I think what it is we immediately state you can't have that. That's immediate. And then we go through and we're going to, if you're going to get a notice, if you don't remedy the situation, then we get over into our procedures like we have now with our other cleanups and lot clearings. Then we do go the notice process. Then the city would go and take action after the notice process had taken place. So it's immediately the burden is on the owner to take care of it. That's correct. But then the notices have to take place before the city were to intervene, and city employees or city contractors were to go out there and do it. So, and I'm happy to draft, I don't have the authority to make changes without there being an amendment and a vote of the council. So between now and the next meeting, Steve, I'm happy to talk to you and draft up whatever you might like to offer and answer any more questions on it to get you satisfied or not, or however we need to do it. I'll be glad to do that.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. I do feel like, to me, it represents a contradiction. I'm not big on the city entering into the conventional protocols that would exist today, legal protocols that exist. I'm not interested in modifying those. So I'm probably not in support of this ordinance anyway, but especially not when it seems to have a glaring contradiction right in the wording.
So will you work with Mr. Kelly then? Councilmember Burke?
Steve, he doesn't have any obligation to do that. I'm just offering, and he may be saying he's just not in favor of it, and that's his position. I'm available for any of you, and you all know.
Thank you. Yeah, I do. I think I oppose this, generally speaking, especially so with the contradiction that's there.
Okay, and I understand that you're now satisfied that we do have a certified arborist on staff.
I think that's fantastic. Again, I think that was one of my reservations, and I know that the ordinance does not provide for that. And so today we have the benefit of a certified arborist on staff. Perhaps we do, or perhaps we don't in the future. I see it's not part of the ordinance, so it's not a requirement that we do. It did give me some, resolution that we have somebody who can make these determinations on what is a dead tree, what is hazardous, what needs to be removed immediately.
Okay. Anybody else wish to speak to the ordinance? Okay, we'll move.
No, I'm not going to think, I don't want to go on. I don't want to mislead anybody. Quite frankly, or honestly, I didn't read Jason's memo earlier today because I had log-on issues earlier today. I got distracted flipping back through the comprehensive plan again and making some more notes, and I quite frankly forgot about it until 10 minutes before I tried to log on. But Jason, your explanation that you just went through, I think that's basically exactly what you stated during our work session last week. So immediate is immediate notification. It doesn't mean we're going to immediately go out and cut something down. There's a process that we have to go through first.
It's not legal for us to have yards with weeds more than 10 inches high. It's against the code. But there's and Doug would have to talk about this. They're gonna give someone notice of that and give them an opportunity to fix it, and then the city's gonna proceed to do it and proceed through our legal requirements if we have to do it. So the point of the draft is that it would be handled like your overgrown lots would be handled in terms of notice.
Yeah, and I don't think we're like a heavy-handed city when it comes to things like this. And like I stated before, I see where an ordinance like this could be useful when we need to use it, when it's absolutely necessary. But I don't see Doug's department going around just cutting down trees just because they can, or trimming limbs or whatever. And if there's a situation out there that needs to be handled, I think we need to have an avenue to be able to do that. So.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak to the ordinance? Linda?
I just feel if when someone calls me and says, hey, my neighbor's tree is hanging over my house, can you help me? I don't want my answer to be, well, gee, no, I can't help you. The city can't help you. You got to call an attorney and spend a whole bunch of money. So that's my concern if we do not pass this.
All righty. Anybody else? Okay, we'll move to third reading next month. And you may want to just meet with Jason to get it straightened out. Okay. The next ordinance is amending section 109-250 pools and spas of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Bella Vista to require a fence enclosure around all outdoor pools, including above ground, spas and hot tubs greater than 2 feet in depth to restrict access by children. This is the second reading that was tabled from July. Linda, I believe that you have the first amendment that you've submitted through Mr. Kelly.
Yes, and the amendment would put the word uncovered in before spa and hot tubs. Since I believe most of the people that have spas and or hot tubs, they are covered with an almost very heavy cover. that would cover almost all of the spas and hot tubs in Bella Vista. So that's my proposed amendment.
Mayor, I have it in, I have a copy of it. It's in writing as required by the rules. And I'll just read it out loud since we're in this Zoom process. We're not able to give a copy out, but it would, the motion by Council Member Lloyd would be to amend the first sentence of the proposed new section 109-250 to read as follows, quote, outdoor pools, parentheses, including above ground, close parentheses, uncovered spas and uncovered hot tubs greater than 2 feet in depth shall be protected by a fence designed to restrict access by children, close quote. The rest will remain the same.
Anybody have any comments about the amendment?
No, good recommended amendment.
I think that's good.
Okay. Now, Mr. Kelly, I'm going to need your help here. Councilmember Wilms has also submitted.
Well, that's not in order yet. So Linda had the floor and made a motion to amend. So you need to see if there's a second to that motion. At this
Right, and we'll go through that.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any further comments?
Only that I'm going to abstain from voting on the amendment because I don't support the ordinance in general.
Okay.
I'll save a comment for after the vote.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, Wayne.
Okay, we're voting on the motion to amend. Councilmember Lloyd,
Yes.
Flynn,
Yes.
Wilms,
Yes.
Fowler,
Yes.
Burke.
Abstain.
Okay.
Okay, so that amendment has passed. Now, Larry, you had something as well?
I did. I sent it out to everyone so they had an opportunity to look at it ahead of time. I provided a paper copy to the clerk tonight. I would move some things. I can read this if you'd like. The proposed language based on Councilman Lloyd's addition, and I would read it as follows. Outdoor pools, uncovered spas, and uncovered hot tubs greater than 2 feet in depth, including those on or above ground, shall be protected by a barrier or a fence designed to restrict access by children. Such barrier or fence shall meet the requirements, and I'm striking a section in there of this article. It refers previously to Appendix G, Arkansas Fire Code. I'm told tonight that this is no longer in existence. And if that's not correct, I'd like to leave it in. If it is correct, then that small section needs to be struck. So it would read, such barrier or fence shall meet the requirements of this article. And a barrier or fence shall not be required if above grade pools, spas, or hot tubs meet one of the following conditions: that the finished top or surround wall is constructed above grade 48 inches or greater, and any adjacent surface, whether it's ground grade and or decking, etc., has a 3 foot or greater separation space around the perimeter of that wall. Or 2, the unit is equipped with a solid style foam-filled adult removable safety cover capable of supporting a child.
Now, at the work session, I do remember Chief Sims telling us that Appendix G, to which you're referring to, the Arkansas Fire Prevention Code, was redacted by the state fire marshal because he wanted to leave the actual requirements in the municipal hands. And Doug, I believe that you and I chatted about this as well, and that's your interpretation?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mayor, we've got I believe Mr. Wilms has made a motion. It is in writing. I've got it here. I printed it off and noted the changes he's made here today. So that's a motion, Mr. Mayor, and so you'd need to see if there's a second to that motion.
Okay. Is there a second?
Well, before we make the motion, I just like to say,
Well,
that was a lot of detail.
No,
Motion's
just a
been-
second.
Already been made.
I need a
To change
seconder
it
and
to
then we can
Larry?
talk about it. I need a
What's that?
seconder and then we can talk about it.
Okay. All right, I'll second it, just so we can
Okay.
talk about it.
All right.
The
Okay.
purpose of this was to clarify, consistent with what the Arkansas Fire Code says. They refer to a barrier, they don't refer to a fence. And so hence the word barrier was inserted in here. And also the code talks about a 4-foot high fence. Nowhere do we have anything that spells out the height of the barrier or fence, except in the section here where it says the finished top or surrounded wall constructed is above grade by 48 inches or more. That's a fairly standard height for such barriers. And that would be around the pool. Now, I had at one house that we owned a pool that was in ground, not really in ground, but it was above ground, but it had a excavation around the sidewall so that it created the barrier and a fence was not needed. And the height of that wall was 4 feet or 48 inches. And so there was a space there that it was, because of the ground grade in the backyard, was excavated away from the wall of the pool, providing a separation space. And hence the rationale of a 3-foot or greater separation space. Now, it could be a fence in there, it could be a deck in there, but it's not likely you're going to have a deck with a space between the pool and the deck. The deck is likely going to go up to the edge of the pool if you have one for access. Probably will have a ladder in there off the deck into the pool. And so what we were trying to do here was to identify the setting that in the backyards in Bella Vista, the ground is not very flat. And so if you have to dig in one side of into the ground, but you provide a moat in there, if you will, a 3-foot moat, that you wouldn't need to put a fence in because you have a safe separation. So that was the rationale. If the 3 feet, in your opinion, would need to be more, we can change that number from 3 to 4 or 5 or 6 or whatever. But I thought 3 foot was fairly reasonable for small kids not to be able to jump and get across.
Doug?
That was our concern.
Okay, thank you, Doug.
No, well, so I told you I couldn't get into my email this afternoon. So Larry, I didn't see your proposal ahead of time. And there's a lot of detail in there. We're on the second reading, right? And I know we still have to vote on whether, to approve Larry's amendment or not. But since we're on the second reading, this is just a personal note. I don't know how everybody else feels, but I'd like to have it to the third reading so I can go through Larry's proposal a little more detail.
So you're proposing.
Fully understand it.
Okay, so you're proposing at this point that we will carry on with Linda's amendment that was just approved, and that you'd like to take the additional time to be able to study Larry's proposal?
That is correct.
Okay.
Mayor, at this point, you've got a motion and a second.
So
you're going to have, you've got to have a vote, I believe, on that motion.
Yeah, we do.
And then, Mr. Wilms could offer a similar amendment again at the next meeting. But we can't just not address the amendment at this point.
Sure.
Would it be appropriate to table this proposed revision till the next meeting? Would that suffice?
Mayor, I would suggest that if Mr. Wilms wanted to withdraw his motion to amend, and Mr. Fowler wanted to withdraw his second, then that would put us back on par where we were, and then you could offer it again at the next meeting, should you so desire.
Mr. Wilms, would you like to withdraw?
Well, do we have a withdrawal of the second?
Yeah, I'll withdraw it.
Yes, Doug?
And I'll withdraw the
Yes.
motion at this point.
Okay.
It needs to be cleaned up a little bit in light of the fact that the Arkansas Fire Prevention Code is not current at the state level. I thought it was current at the city level, but I don't know that we can adopt that if the state does not adopt it. Is that correct?
Sure.
Well, you can adopt additional provisions to the state fire code as long as they're not less restrictive. So we could as a city determine we do want to have some additional requirements.
Well, what I'm understanding, Jason, is that the Arkansas Fire Prevention Code is no longer a state document, therefore it's no longer a city document.
No, just this one section.
Oh, just this one section. Okay.
G, that's right.
And if that's the case, it begs the question of what type of a barrier or fence do you need to build? And maybe there's more detail that needs to be added to this relating to that protective barrier or fence height.
All righty,
You can
well,
You can
I'll leave
back
that
in,
with you.
yeah, you
I'll
can
leave
back
that
in,
with you.
you can back into it with the requirement that it be the height of the wall for the standalone pool be 48 inches. You can back into the height of a fence, but it doesn't clearly say it. And so that clarification probably is warranted to have an ordinance provision that is enforceable and clear to the public. Thank you.
Okay, all righty. So we'll withdraw.
Peter?
Yes, John.
I'd just like to make a comment about it since it sounds like they'll be working on it between now and next week.
Next month.
Next
I was
month.
or next month, yeah, excuse me. I was a little baffled by the amendment. I saw where Larry was trying to get to not be too burdensome on above ground pools. But what I was picturing based on the above ground pools I've seen, the wall may be 4 foot high, but there's a ladder that gets you up and gets you in the above ground pool. And so you need to have the ladder locked or lifted or out of the way somehow. The fact that it's 4 feet high alone doesn't get you around needing a fence. You gotta have 4 feet high and no way to get up there. You know, you gotta get the ladder out of there, or the ones I've seen, you lift the ladder up and lock it up. So that, you know, there's no way to get in there if you're a little kid.
And the pools that I've seen that
Talk about that.
The pools that I've seen that are above ground, purely standing on graded surface, they have a deck that is the entryway, and usually that deck comes off of the house in some fashion or another, or you have a stairway going up to the deck so that it's a large area that you can recreate on it with a table and an umbrella and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And then they're going down into the pool.
Right.
Certainly something to think about, Larry, if you want to also add that provision in case there isn't that particular circumstance and there is a ladder.
It would. I will make a point to talk with Doug and maybe if there are some examples that follow Councilman Flynn's criteria where the pool is above ground but they only have a ladder on the outside climbing in. I guess I'd like to know if there's any of those really around and where they might be, and if we have many of them, so we can address it next time. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll carry on with third reading next month. Now we move into new business. All are resolutions. The first is authorizing the mayor and city clerk to enter into a contract with Superior Automotive Group of Siloam Springs for the purchase of a 2020 Dodge Charger all-wheel drive pursuant to a state procurement contract in the amount not to exceed $26,000 for the police department. If you remember, this is in the approved budget. However, when COVID hit, we froze all capital expenditures and all non-essential purchases so that we could see what was going to happen with the sales tax. As you've heard, we've done very well with the sales tax. So in July, I believe, June or July, we lifted the freeze, and the police have now moved forward with the purchase of this vehicle. Chief is here this evening if anyone has any questions. Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, roll call vote. Councilmember Burke,
Yes.
Fowler,
Yes.
Wilms,
Yes.
Flynn,
Yes.
Lloyd,
Yes,
carried 5-0.
Thank you. The next resolution awarding bid and authorizing the purchase of a hostage negotiation crisis phone from 836 Technologies Corporation in the amount of $27,484 for use by the police department. Just a couple of pointers just to refresh your memory. The life expectancy of this unit is 20 years. The funding is broken into two parts. 10,000 is from the city. It's in our approved 2020 capital budget. The remaining 17,484 is in our account that is held within the county forfeiture fund and under the direction of the prosecuting attorney for the county, Mr. Smith. We have approached Mr. Smith for the release of this funds and he has agreed. The forfeiture account is built up in two ways. After a case has been settled and finalized, anything that the police may have seized during their investigation can now either be sold, or if it's cash, it goes into our account. But again, it doesn't come to the city. It is in the purview of Mr. Smith. The typical incident involving negotiation teams requires about 120 hours after the fact currently to be able to do all the paperwork, get everything coordinated, and that equates to about $3,600 per barrier or hostage incident, or barricade, excuse me. In the last year and a half, we have had 4 incidents, which, if you use the same math, has meant that we've spent $14,400. And if you do the math again, that means if you divide the 27,000 by 3,600 per incident, the phone is paid for in 7.5 incidents. And we've already had 4 in the last year and a half. The phone itself, as we mentioned, is very versatile. It can automatically record. It has date stamps, and it also comes with 2 computers, LT?
Yes, sir.
It comes with 2 computers so that the negotiating team outside is also able to see what has been said, and they can transcript it so that they can intelligently talk with the person inside the home and hopefully resolve it in a peaceful manner. Lieutenant Stivel is also here with our CID, which is the Criminal Investigation Division. If anybody has any questions, I'm sure he'd be happy to answer them.
Will this be mounted in a vehicle or something, or is it all mobile devices that you have here?
The actual phone itself is portable so that you can throw it into the area where the fellow has barricaded himself in. The computers are also portable, as I understand it, LT, so that you can move it into your command vehicle.
That's correct. The whole entire system is mobile. So if, as of right now, we don't have a negotiations vehicle or trailer, so we can take the whole entire unit, negotiate from the trunk of a police car, backseat of any car, a home, residence, building, anything. We can negotiate from any one of those places at any point in time.
Good question, Larry. Anybody else?
I don't really have a question. I just like to say, obviously it seems like a lot of money, but obviously it sounds like it has really good duration, and you hope, you really don't have to ever use something like that, but then when you do need to use it, then you really wish you had it. And I think even if you had one incident where this device played into a successful outcome and, maybe save somebody's life potentially, it's a good investment again. I said, you hope you don't have to use it, but if in fact that time comes, then you want to have a device like this. So, and I think it's a good spend of money for that fund that you mentioned, that we have. I forget what you call it exactly off the top of my head, but if we're going to spend money from that fund, this sounds like a good time to spend some of that money, and this is something worthwhile to spend it on. So
Great, thank you.
What-
Yes, it's called a forfeiture fund. Anybody else? Larry?
I've got another question. What type of a time to transcribe the information with this device now would we save out of that 120 hours per incidence the mayor described?
So the whole entire process is record. All we would have to do is put a thumb drive into the device, copy it over, and it's ready to go to the prosecutor's office.
So that gives you the timeline and activities. It doesn't transcribe it, it really just copies it over and makes it available in a digital fashion.
Everything that is entered, so every phone call that comes in, it's time stamped. When the scribe, when the person calls, they put in the demands, how different pieces of the conversation, when the demands are met, all the different things are listed in there, plus the whole MP3 recording, all of that, and it prints it off in a report format for the prosecutor's office.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'd
Seeing
like to
none,
make a motion to approve.
thank you.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote. Councilmember Lloyd,
Yes,
Flynn,
Yes.
Burke,
Yes.
Wilms,
Yes.
Fowler,
Yes.
carried 5-0.
Thank you. The next resolution will not be unfamiliar to all of you on council, but it may be to the folks at home, so I'll read it and then explain it. Authorizing and levying the millage rate of ad valorem real and personal property tax for the city of Bella Vista, Arkansas for the year 2020 to be collected in 2021. This is a resolution that every city must pass at this time of year if you wish to have your property tax collected in 2021, for example, in this case. Failure to do this means that you will not see that revenue. The due date is October 20th. However, our October meeting is after that date. Therefore, even though we were advised of this last Thursday or Friday, we have moved quickly on it so that we could get it in front of you this evening. There has been no millage change whatsoever. We're still sitting at 4 mills for the operational side of the house. We can go to 5 mills without a vote, so we still have 1 mill left. We don't need it at this point in time. The other 1.5 mills is for fire and police pensions, known as LOPFI by its acronym. That was approved by the electorate in a September 2014 election. Any questions at all, councilors? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Councilmember Fowler,
Yes.
Burke,
Yes.
Wilms,
Yes.
Lloyd,
yes,
Flynn,
Yes.
carried 5-0.
Thank you. The next resolution approving the mayor's appointment of Philip Bode to position 7 on the Bella Vista Board of Zoning Adjustment for a term ending October the 1st, 2023. This is a reappointment, and I certainly thank Philip for his outstanding service so far, and I look forward to having him remain on the board. Are there any thoughts or questions at all? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second? Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you.
All right. Councilmember Wilms,
Yes.
Flynn,
Yes.
Lloyd,
yes,
Burke,
Yes.
Fowler,
Yes.
carried 5-0.
The next resolution approving the mayor's appointment of Lee Cronky to position 2 on the Bella Vista Board of Zoning Adjustment for a term ending October the 1st, 2023. Similarly, this is a reappointment, and once again, I thank Lee for his service and look forward to working with him in the next term. Are there any questions at all? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you.
All right. Councilmember Lloyd?
Yes,
Okay. Flynn?
Yes.
Excuse me. Wilms?
Yes.
Fowler?
Yes.
And Burke?
Yes.
Carried 5-0.
Thank you. The next resolution approving the mayor's appointment of Beth Tracy to position 3 on the Bella Vista Board of Zoning Adjustment for a term ending October the 1st, 2023. This is a new appointment for Ms. Tracy, and it is endorsed by Bob Walker, who's the chair of the board. Are there any questions at all? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
second,
All right. Councilmember Wilms?
Yes.
Flynn?
Yes.
Lloyd?
yes,
Burke?
Yes.
Fowler?
Yes.
Carried 5-0.
Okay, the last resolution of the evening is adopting Comprehensive Plan 2040. This has been a very long process, 3 years, and we have received a great deal of both council and citizen input, which has been great. We could keep tweaking it for another 3 years, I'm sure, if that's the way we wanted to keep going. But I think it's about time that we call it and either we vote it up or down. And I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, let's move into discussion. All of you have had an opportunity, numerous occasions, to voice your thoughts. So with the thought of time, let's try and keep it succinct, please. And let's begin. Who wants to speak first?
Me.
Mr. Burke?
Mayor Christie, I'd like to start by recognizing and thanking all the Bella Vista residents that have taken time to participate in this process of building this plan. All those who attended community input meetings in 2017, all those who served on the Citizens Advisory Committee, and those who have more recently provided feedback on elements of the plan after reviewing drafts. Thank you, everyone has contributed. It's helped the City Council to measure what Bella Vista residents want for our city. I really believe planning is an important function that all well-run, ongoing concerns, such as organizations, companies, communities practice. This 2040 plan puts forth many ideas and concepts that together represent a general direction for Bella Vista's future. The direction I think this plan represents is for a connected community with a village feel. And after listening carefully to Bella Vista residents for the past few years, I believe the majority of Bella Vista residents support such a direction. To be sure, not all residents support all aspects of the proposed plan, but no collection of ideas and concepts could possibly be supported unanimously. So we're left to represent the majority as we understand the majority's preferences. For those that may think adopting this plan could result in bulldozers rolling into town to transform our community into something completely different, well, that's just not the case. In fact, the proposed 2040 plan does not obligate nor authorize any projects. Any proposed development or concept included in the plan will have to come about on its own merits. Neither the city, nor the POA, nor landowners, nor developers are authorized or obligated to embark on any aspect of the proposed plan, even if the plan is adopted by City Council tonight. Each of those entities has their own interests and procedures to apply before any idea or concept can become a reality. So as a directional reference point for Bella Vista to realize its full potential as a connected community with a village feel, I do support this plan.
Thank you, sir. Who wishes to speak next? Linda?
I'd like to second a lot of Steve's comments. I think they're very well thought out. And is this a perfect plan? No. We could probably spend $250,000 in 2 or 3 more years and we still wouldn't have a perfect plan. There just is no such thing. So I think it's got good ideas and has been extensive community input. And I think we should vote it forward as recommended by the Planning Commission.
Thank you. Who's next?
I'll go.
Okay.
Yeah, just a couple short comments. And yeah, Steve, you're right on. I won't reiterate what you said about thanking everyone that was involved in this. There were many people. I also believe from feedback I've received, mostly through email, a lot of conversations with people as well. There certainly is a lot of support for the plan. There are certainly some detractors. I think from some of the detractors, I'm not really sure how closely they looked at the plan or how much they really understand it. You know, there are some people that think we're trying to turn Bella Vista into some type of a resort city, and that just is not the case. You know, this is about the people that live here and, you know, trying to define a future state for the city, you know, as we move forward. A couple of comments that I pulled out of the plan today. One of them says the intent of the comprehensive plan for Bella Vista is to identify a desired future for the community. In other words, this is something that we can aspire to. You know, having all the details in place for exactly what that will look like right now just really isn't possible. There are so many variables that are concerned. And actually, to get too far off into the weeds concerning certain infrastructure projects and things like that could really not be productive at this particular point, you know, because as developers, hopefully that we can attract to the city, a lot of them are going to kind of more or less give us a heads up on what it is we need to do in order for them, you know, to come to our city and invest their money. Another comment I pulled out was, you know, the natural context of Bella Vista will continue, the natural context of Bella Vista will continue to define the community as it evolves into a full service city. So, you know, the natural context, we definitely want to hold on to that and value that and make sure that that's going to be like one of the overriding principles as we move forward. You know, and two, one of the last things I would say, finally, to get something on paper, something just to look at for other people, you know, to see so they can envision themselves on what we could be. I just like to say, somebody said this to me one time in reference to something else. That is, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. And the time has come, you know, for us to have direction in where we're going, you know. So I fully support the plan. I look forward to passing it. And then lastly, where do we go from here after we pass it today? You know, if we don't put a plan in place for how we're going to move this forward, it could end up on a shelf somewhere and potentially, you know, not be opened up again for a period of time. And we don't want that to happen. We're going to have, you know, planning. We're going to have someone to do recruiting. We're going to have an advocate, you know, to dissect, pull this plan together, someone that understands the properties, what they offer, the details behind those properties, someone that knows how to go out and recruit businesses into Bella Vista, and someone, you know, that can negotiate and have that personality about them, you know, that they can sell Bella Vista. So, you know, so once we pass this tonight, really, the work should just now begin, really. So anyway, having said that, I'm fully supportive and I look forward to voting on it.
Great, thank you. Who's next? Doug or John?
Yeah, this is John Flynn. I would like to echo what other folks said about the input of people and appreciating citizens taking part. And I did note that our consultants commented that the participation we had by citizens was greater in number and more robust than they see in most cities. And when you're in city council for a while and you start to think about what makes a good city, it really is the citizens and the people of the city, and the fact that they took an interest and took their time to give us their views, I think says a lot about the future of our city and whether it'll be successful or not. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate the efforts of the mayor, the administration, and my fellow city council members. So
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Mr. Wells?
I guess I'm last. I would concur with the positive assessments by my fellow councilman about the plan. I think it goes a long way to providing some very good, positive guidance for future development in the city. We have lots of vacant land that are still owned by the developer, Cooper Communities Incorporated. We have a fair amount of land, significant, while not large in comparison to the total acreage in the city. That's non-POA land that's owned by private individuals. Those properties, like along the west side of 71 south of Oldham down to Sunset, is all non-POA. We will find it extremely difficult to see any development down there without the city moving ahead to invest or become involved in a public water system to service it. There's no other vehicle, at least at the present. I know the mayor has talked about some alternatives in the past, but I failed to see those as being viable in the long term. Some of the things that I wanted to highlight, I guess, in the plan is that it is pretty specific in terms of a couple of items. One is it says we need to build 5 miles of trail system or multi-use paths per year. That's an implementation step in there. One of the suggestions or editing comments that I submitted for review was that you eliminate the 5 miles, but plan to expand the trail system and multi-use paths per year. And it also says where homes are within 10 or a 15-minute walk of an activity center, those activity centers are identified in the plan. We need to ensure that there's pedestrian and bike facilities are expanded to accommodate them. That's kind of a commitment on our part. It doesn't require us to do it, but it certainly says we need to do it. It also says that we need to coordinate with the A&P Commission to support a rebranding effort to move the community forward in coming years. I'm not sure I'm fully supportive of that recommendation. We just went through a rebranding, I think about 2 years ago, of the city with our current format of what we have. It also says that we should remove the code commitment of the city to pave the first 150 feet of unpaved streets. I think this is purely an administrative directive by the mayor to staff to get this done. I don't know that it needs to be in the implementation plan. The last item is concerning the purchase of the Centerton water system. And it says study the financial impacts of the system purchase and then conduct a rate of return on the investment relating to private development and taxes generated. That was really not done. I think the only thing that was looked at was really the revenue stream from that portion being acquired without the bigger picture of the possibility of impacting development to implement really the recommendations that are in this plan. So somewhere along the line, we'll need to come across that road, cross that bridge, and deal with that issue in reality. I think we've missed the boat, frankly, in terms of doing that in a most efficient and economical way for the city. I think the alternative that's available to us at this time is going to be much more expensive and costly if we are to see any development occurring in those non-POA land areas. I see the non-POA land areas as being probably very critical and instrumental in implementing the variety of housing types that the plan really discusses in some detail. And I think those would be very positive and beneficial to the city. I don't know that I envision the developer-owned lands as going and moving in that direction. I could be wrong, but I sense that that's not a likelihood. And then there's nothing said about the lands along the new bypass area in the northwestern side of the city that we should move towards getting those annexed into the city for our benefit long-term for development and use. So I think that that's another deficiency that's probably in there that might well serve us in the future. But all in all, I think the plan offers and provides a good framework for moving forward with development. It will provide a mandate for zoning. And I know that in the plan, it does look at zoning of, let's say, the area bounded by Rogers Road, 279 and 340 on the central side of the city on the west side, for how to use that large Cooper acreage where we have the fall craft fair hosted by them. I think if the zoning allows all of those uses, if the current zoning of that property allows all of those uses, that's great. If it doesn't, and rezoning is necessary, that could become an issue somewhere down the road, depending on how it might be proposed to be development in a manner inconsistent with our plan that we've adopted. It's been my experience that once you adopt this plan, it provides specific and regulated or regimented guidance in terms of the rezoning and land uses as the plan lays out. So I'm a little concerned about those parts of it, that maybe we've gone too far in some of those areas. But all in all, I think it will be something that will benefit us moving forward.
Great. Thank you very much. Thanks to one and all. And again, thanks to our citizens who have just given us so much more input that it really has improved every time we've gone out and asked for more. All right, let's go to a roll call vote, please.
All right. Councilmember Burke,
Yes.
Fowler,
Yes.
Wilms,
I will abstain on the grounds that the implementation section is incomplete in terms of providing good guidance for us in the future.
Flynn,
Yes.
Lloyd,
Yes,
carried 4-1.
Thank you. That concludes the business. We'll now move over to meetings and announcements.
Mayor,
And that-
Mayor,
Sir.
it was 4-0 Wayne, you said
4-0-1, yes.
Okay.
Meetings and announcements. The next city council work session will be Monday, October 19th at 5:30 Zoom. The next regular meeting of city council is Monday, October 26th at 6:30 by Zoom. The planning commission work session will be this Thursday, October the 1st at 4:30, again by Zoom. The planning commission regular meeting will be October the 12th at 4:30 by Zoom. The Board of Zoning Adjustment will be October the 20th at 5:30 p.m. by Zoom. And the Board of Construction Appeals will be October 13th, 2020, also by Zoom. Thank you very much. Safe home, or I guess you're already at home, but for those of us here, we'll head out. Thanks and good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.